football stadiums today, they all look the same. You could be anywhere. Well, the funny thing is that if you were to go back in time 50, 80 years, you'd probably hear exactly the same sentiments being expressed. At that particular time, there was one man who dominated the whole design of football grounds in this country. His name, Archibald Leach. Archibald Leach was an engineer in Glasgow. He designed a couple of stands and then he did a new ground for Middlesbrough in 1903. But then in 1904 came the call that would change his life. And it was a call that came from London. Craven Cottage. It's really got to be one of my favourite football grounds, and I think one of the reasons is that it encapsulates what was going on in English football when it was going through really a stadium revolution, a bit like we have today. What Archie Leach is doing here, effectively, is he's building factories, but without the side on them. Archie found himself in the middle, not just of a stadium revolution, but of a football revolution. At the same time he worked at Craven Cottage, he was working up the road for another new club, Chelsea. From Chelsea, he was off to Blackburn Rovers, to Liverpool, where he worked on Goodison Park, where you can still see the balcony that he built on one of the double-decker stands. He worked at Anfield as well, then Bradford, then at White Hart Lane. In 1910, he designed a completely new stadium at Old Trafford. And then in 1913, found himself back in London. It was Archibald Leach who laid out the first Highbury Stadium. And so Archie's legacy lived on. For 50 years after he died, his stands, his terraces, his grounds, they really were the landscape of English football. Until April 1989, the Hillsborough disaster. But one of them will survive, and it's this one here at Craven Cottage. It's the only listed grandstand in English football. And what of today's modern marvels? Well, you don't need to tell me that we're in the middle of the second stadium revolution. Some people would compare the modern stadium actually with a huge television studio with seats, retractable roofs, artificial pitches. There's a long way to go before this revolution has played out. We've come a long way in the last 10, 15 years or so, and I often wonder to myself, what would Archie think about all this? Well, as a man who devoted his life to football grounds and to football, I think we know the answer. He would have loved it.